Hello, everybody. We are back for episode 3 of the Nintendo Pipeline. I'm CMM1215, and I'm going to be your host today. Can you all introduce yourselves?
Sure, I'm Jared. You might know me as One Up Muffin on the Nintendo Era Discord.
And I'm Barry, better known as Raccoon.
All right, so today's a special episode because although we're recording this on April 6th, we just found the Pac-Man 99 news and we're kind of freaking out about it for a little bit. Um, but this is actually about Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is hitting its 20th anniversary very soon, and actually, if you are listening to this right now, it'll be released on the 20th anniversary, which is April 14th of the original Animal Forest for N64. So we kind of wanted to spend a little bit of time to go through some of our Animal Crossing memories and then talk about New Horizons and where we're at since it's been about a year now. So first of all, yeah, what was the first Animal Crossing game that you guys played? I guess we can start with Jared on this one.
Yeah, sure. The first one I played was Animal Crossing for the GameCube, also known as Population Rising. Is that correct?
Population growing. Yeah.
Population Growing. Gotcha. Yeah, I think I got it used, and it was still like really. It was the time when GameCube games were like pretty cheap. Like now they're like $1 million, but like I got Animal Crossing GameCube for I think 20, and I loved it. I loved exploring my town. I loved meeting my neighbors. I loved collecting the NES games. It was just a magical experience all around.
And what about you, Barry?
I am a small child, so my first Animal Crossing game was City Folk for the Wii. Yeah, it was. I didn't get it near launch. It probably would have been in 2009 or 2010. Um, yeah, and one of my older sisters probably got it, and we played it together. And I thought it was neat. And City Folk remains high on my list of Animal Crossings because of that. Everybody's favorite Animal Crossing is the first one they played, but I guess we'll get to that later.
Yeah, so for me, my first was GameCube Animal Crossing. I was very excited for it to come out, and I played it, and I was enraptured by it. And my sister played it with me too, and we would fight over it. um, but yeah, I mean, just I remember, we had the guide for it as well, which was more of a catalog, and yeah, I mean, there's so much to do and find. It was just a very different game than most other games at the time. Um, Pretty sure I want to say I got it like day one, but I don't totally remember. So I guess kind of expounding from that, I'd like to ask you guys about some of your favorite Animal Crossing memories in general. We'll start with Barry this time.
Oh, Animal Crossing memories. I have so many. Um, Launches obviously become important, especially with something like Animal Crossing, because you that's the start of your adventure and that persists. Launch of the leading up to and the launch for New Leaf was an incredible time for me because that would have been the first that I was excited for ahead of time in the hype period, and um, I was very excited for that game. I followed it when it came out in Japan because you know, at the time, for people that are unfathomably even younger than me, there was a time where Nintendo games didn't have universal launches, like global launches. So New Leaf came out to Americans, at least North Americans, on June 9th, 2013. But for in Japan, the game originally came out in fall the year prior, fall of 2012. So there was a good 6 months where the game was out and I could watch footage of it and watch people play it and not understand any of the dialogue. Um, and that was cool. New Leaf was sort of an institution in that sense that the hype period for it was so long. I remember seeing, early E3 screenshots of that game, uh, and watching it transform into the game it finally ended up as, being excited for it, being uh, characteristically enraged as a 13-year-old when it was announced for June 9th instead of April or whenever I must have been expecting. I remember the specific moment that I found out that it was coming on June 9th, and I was so unreasonably upset. But that's that's a good memory, I guess, for a forum shit poster like me. Yeah, so New Leaf was really a big deal in my life. Uh, New Horizons less so because I'm a bit older now. But that had a pretty good hype period too, especially coming from it having been so long since New Leaf and it being announced so early or teased so early. There's a big period between the 2018, I think, tease of Animal Crossing Switch, right? Or was it 2019? No, it was 2018. Yeah, late
Uh,
2018, September 2018. It
yeah,
was at the
wow.
end of
Yeah,
that
because it was supposed to
direct.
come out in 2019 and then got pushed back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, Animal Crossing and long hype cycles. It's kind of like Zelda in that regard. That's what people expect, and it's neat. It's an interesting thing. I realize I haven't talked about the games at all, but those a lot of my favorite memories for Animal Crossing are peripheral to the game itself, and I think that's natural for something that takes place in real time.
All right. What about you, Jared?
Yeah, so I have two memories that stick out to me in particular. One is from the more in Animal Crossing GameCube, there was a bigger variety of Animal Crossing interactions, and the first time I had a neighbor steal something from my inventory was like absolutely wild. So like Blue Bear stole a fossil that I got, and it made me despise Blue Bear in every single Animal Crossing since. Um, and I like that Animal Crossing can give me that hatred for a cartoon bear. And the other one was New Horizon. Um, I was playing with like a bigger group of friends, and we took like a fun group photo on like the rocks, and like that was just a very fun thing. Everyone doing poses, and it felt like hanging out virtually, and it was neat.
Yeah, I mean, especially given the release timing of New Horizons, which, has coincided with the beginning of the pandemic,
Mhm.
being able to hang out with friends and stuff in the game was really nice.
It was really a
Um,
joy.
I had a few of those sessions as well. For me, um, it was definitely the villagers and the characters that were most significant to me in GameCube Animal Crossing. In terms of like my memories of them, like Stu is my neighbor. He's a blue cow, and he became my like favorite animal for life. And just like kind of what Jared was saying about the differences in interactions you can get between villagers in later Animal Crossing games, they've kind of dulled it down a little bit. But in the original, you have villagers that were just so mean, and I loved it. Like I thought it was really funny. So I think maybe one of my favorite memories would be just getting bullied by my villagers. And that first time you pay your house off and everything. And the other main one is not an in-game memory, but when Wild World was announced for the DS, I was very, very, very excited. Especially when they were saying, online will be in it and everything. And I remember leading up into that launch, just like seeing little bits of it was just a really fun time. One last thing I'd like to mention quickly as well is another memory that's not in the game itself, but last year I was lucky enough to go to PAX East, and they had the Nintendo booth there was entirely like 75% was Animal Crossing, and it was magical. Like they captured the look and feel of Animal Crossing perfectly. They had like props and people in costume and stuff, and we got to go through there after playing a guided demo of it, which was also really good and fun. I mean, it's Animal Crossing, knew what to expect, but being able to try it a little early is a treat. And then, but the actual like booth for like photos and stuff was just so cool. Like it was just it was nice. It'll always stand out in my mind, I think.
Yeah, I remember PAX footage coming out. That was it was in late February that the main PAX, like,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, super cool, super cool to see.
Really cute booths.
That was the first time that we knew about the overhead camera.
Yep. Yep.
Oh yeah,
I
that was
remember
nice.
I use
remember
that most of the time. The GameCube-ish camera. It's not quite GameCube, but
It's
yeah.
almost there.
Yeah, I use that camera quite a lot too. Very happy it was included. I remember during my like demo session, kind of experimenting and seeing and asking questions about some of that stuff. I remember trying to dig some info out, and I remember learning a couple of neat little tidbits while I was there. And yeah, it was just super cool. It was a great time. Um,
Really quickly, you mentioned Wild World, and I really regret not getting Wild World when it came out because I saw kids on like the playground playing it. I was like, oh, that sounds cool, and that was just a time where I like just couldn't buy many games. That just wasn't one I picked up, but I feel like I would have really liked that one if I played it when it came out.
yeah, it's funny because I looked forward to Wild World a lot, and I played it a good amount, but I definitely didn't play it as much as the GameCube game. It was definitely missing something for me, and I think that was just maybe some of the events because that was the game that they kind of got rid of
They
some
cut a
of the
lot.
more like holiday themed ones.
Yeah, it was definitely cut down.
So another important thing I wanted to ask you guys was what is the essence of Animal Crossing for you? Like, what does Animal Crossing mean to you? We can start with Barry on that one first.
I'm of the opinion that Animal Crossing has meant different things across its life. At the time of listening, or the time of release of this episode, it's 20 years, right?
Yep. Yep.
20 years of the series, and it's slowly changed its primary conceit, or like its core essence, I suppose. Um, in the beginning, the appeal of Animal Crossing was that it was something that changed, where things happened, um, whether or not you were there. That's like the tagline on the GameCube version is something happens every day, whether you're there or not. Um, and for the first three games, I'm going to say, and some of New Leaf, that was a huge part of the appeal. Or rather, that was the main appeal, was that it was a world that didn't need you, and you got to be a part of it, and that was your privilege. But it didn't need you to function, or the illusion of that. And then with New Leaf and New Horizons now, the games are more a playground. They're more, well, playground's the wrong word. They're a canvas, honestly. They're somewhere. It's a world that exists to serve the player, and neither is really better or worse than the other. It's just a different appeal, and the latter has given them incredible mass market success. I mean, Animal Crossing New Horizons is like the best selling game in Japan or something, right? Is that correct?
Yeah,
It was like one of the
it's
biggest launches, at least. Like one of the biggest launches. It was
yeah,
huge. It was huge.
it's big.
Irrefutably huge. Yeah. Um, so, I mean, to me, I guess it just depends. If I ask that question now, the essence of Animal Crossing is customization, is making stuff with very limited tools. And there's an appeal to that. It's something that it's a lot slower than The Sims. You don't have, or even Minecraft, you don't have as much control, but the control you have is absolute. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's actually a very
your
good point.
it's your dominion. but that Dominion is somewhat fixed. So that's the essence of Animal Crossing now.
Yeah, I honestly feel pretty similarly. To me, the big thing, especially in the original, was just, yeah, time passes. Things happen in real time. You can miss them if you're not there. Things happen with or without you. And that was really neat to me. It still is neat to me. Having a lot of time based activities, like real time based activities. And now it's definitely more of like a canvas, and you can do stuff or you can not do stuff. And there's a lot more room for like, decorating your town or making your town unique. Um, it's less about, I mean, you still talk to your villagers and have relationships with them, but I feel like it's less about that now. Whereas in the original, that was kind of the main, the main thing. Jared, what do you think on this topic?
Yeah, I mean to me personally, it'll always be like that life sim, living in a peaceful virtual world, uh, with a wonderful atmosphere and cute characters. And customizing has always been a part of that, so I don't want to downplay that part, but definitely for me, like the virtual life thing is, it's why I come to it mainly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely don't want to downplay the customization either, but it's definitely, obviously it's grown since the originals. So speaking of that kind of growth, it's been a year now since New Horizons has come out, and so there's been a lot of different stuff that's happened in that year. The game at launch, there was a lot of stuff like terraforming that was very new, the whole crafting system and gathering, stuff to actually make furniture with that. Having outdoor furniture for the first time, which really opens up the customization of the town. And then over the past year, we've gotten a series of updates that add all kinds of stuff. Everything from the Bunny Day update that began the game's life, to stuff that added red and artwork back into the game, the diving elements like a sea creature diving. I mean, the Mario update, and then we had a lot of holiday specific updates like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and a lot of us experienced the New Year's holiday. This time, there's been a lot of stuff that's been added, and not only in terms of specific, holidays and like new gameplay features, but also in terms of just like stuff like seasonal items and stuff like that. So I guess considering everything that's happened in this first year from launch until now, I just wanted to kind of ask you guys, what your favorite new element of Animal Crossing New Horizons is, whatever that may be. We'll start with Jared on this one.
Yeah, I thought outdoor furniture was really the huge thing for me. Usually after I finish decorating my Animal Crossing rooms, I kind of feel done with the decorating side of the game, but now with the whole island as kind of my canvas, it definitely expanded that. So it definitely gave me more things to do after I'd already decorated my house.
Yeah, that is definitely a major kind of new thing here. Even if something as simple as like, oh, you can place furniture outside now, like, okay, whatever. But like, what that actually opens up is pretty significant. What about you, Barry?
Adjacent to that, I'm going to say that the landscaping is huge. Um, it's definitely of the same type of change as placing furniture outdoors. But to me, the landscaping, I've gotten a lot more out of it, because it just took so long. It was a big project for me because I think we're going to get to that a little bit later, but my New Horizons island has a huge portion in the northeastern corner that was on the first plateau tier that's just cleared out into a plain now. And that took a non-negligible amount of time, across days, to actually dig out. So landscaping really gives you a lot of like long-term options. I would say that furniture is neat and it's kind of essential for a lot of things. I tend to use it sparingly. I think that too much furniture outside looks pretty bad, but that's just my personal opinion. Um, but the landscaping they didn't have to do, and it's just very cool. It reminds me of Chibi Robo Park Patrol. If
Oh, that's
either of you have
interesting.
played Chibi Robo Park Patrol,
A little bit.
yeah, it's pretty similar in the sense of, I mean, instead of doing it by hand, you have to just like choose big squares, almost like acres. I think you have like a 10 by 10 grid, maybe 20 by 20 uh, grid of spaces, and you can like set canals and uh, different. It's similar. It's similar in setting a layout and the appeal that that brings with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you also mentioned acres, so I have to mention too that like, yeah, we've gone from, the original game, which did have acres. The map was divided into different screens essentially. To now with New Horizons, you have, this full island that's just, you know, there's no there's no real division or anything in it. And to what you said about kind of terraforming the place and changing it, and also in the beginning, like kind of having it to dig it out of like basically just a wild random island is
Yeah.
interesting. Um, I would agree that too much furniture outdoors kind of makes things icky. It's I've always had a tough time decorating stuff in Animal Crossing because there's stuff that I think will work, but it doesn't
Yeah.
work the way I expected it to.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Outside, you really
Yeah. You have to plan it.
yeah, and you don't get those full terraforming tools for a little while too.
Yeah,
Um,
I was gonna say that New Horizons is at its best for like the first 2 months, maybe. Definitely like the first week or so. Like maybe it's 10 days. That's like the tutorial. That's incredible. Um, and then the time after you get those landscaping tools, which I think is after those first 10 days. If you do everything ideally, it can be much longer
yeah,
than that. Um, once you kind of set your town the way you want it, that process from starting from nothing to building something is incredible, and no other game has come close to doing that in the series. That's definitely where New Horizons is strongest. New
it,
Leaf, on the
it's
other
it's a
hand,
great on ramp.
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah,
New Leaf starts really, really slow, in my opinion. I don't think it's playable until like a month in. um, but New Horizons is at its strongest at the start.
yeah. New Leaf. I remember being extremely frustrated with
Yeah,
Isabel because she was basically that game's like tutorial monster, and she stopped me from doing everything that I wanted to try.
yeah,
So I blamed her for it.
There was even though I like the older Animal Crossing games a lot, there is one horrible thing where I love fishing in these games. And in the old ones, you had to wait until a fishing rod became available at the store,
yes,
and it might
yes.
not be a few days, and that was annoying. So I like that you can just craft a fishing rod in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the things about New Horizons early game is that it's both more restrictive and more open at the same time. Because of the crafting system, you're able to do certain things earlier. But then there's like, other stuff you're not able to do. Like, this is the only Animal Crossing game where you start out in a town and you can't actually walk around the entire island on day one because you don't have the tools to. Like, you can't go across rivers, there's no bridges, you can't go up on cliffs. So, like, the way the island kind of ends up being slowly available to you over the first couple days, I think is interesting. Um, but I would agree that in general, the terraforming aspects, before you would just have to deal with whatever island you had or, reset until you get one that you liked. Now you can change rivers, you can change cliffs, you can change, you can make waterfalls, you can make little platforming areas if you want to. It opens up a lot in terms of what you can do and what you can change. Really, the only thing you can't adjust are beaches. Like, that's like, besides that, you basically have free reign. And that definitely offers a new depth of interactivity to the island and to the game and what you can do with it. So I guess on that note, what have you guys done with your town? And I guess what are some of the events that you've done and stuff too? We'll start with Jared on this one.
Yeah, so I didn't do a whole lot. I decorated all my rooms. I did some outdoor furniture, but nothing massive. I don't want to permanently change my island, so I've not touched terraforming.
Really? You
Yeah.
haven't modified the landscape at all?
I don't think so. Maybe I've done
Wow.
like a little tiny bit, but I don't know. My island's my island. I can't.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
Maybe I've
I
done
tr-
like a tiny bit, but it's definitely not a lot.
I tried to do mine kind of mildly. Like, there was a pond next to a river, so I cut that into like a river island. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
a little naturally, some of it less so, but yeah.
Yeah, and then for the events, I didn't do that many of them. I did Bunny Day. I did most of the stuff for Bunny Day, and then I came back for New Year's Eve, and that was a really cute one. Seeing
Yeah.
all the animals, do those little party poppers, and the countdown clock was really cool. That's a cool event.
Yeah, I'm still mad that I messed up the recording and the photo I took of that, because I wasn't expecting
Oh.
like the year to come up in fireworks at the
Yeah,
end.
that's so cool.
So it like cut off right before that happened. Yeah, that's interesting about the terraforming too, because I actually was hesitant to change too much because I wanted to keep some of my island's natural, random kind of appearance. So like, I didn't particularly want to change, like, for example, like where rivers flowed and how they moved. I wanted to build around them, but I did some minor tweaks so that, for example, a bridge would be possible in an area where it may not have been possible due to the width of the river.
I think I might have done that.
Yeah. And then Barry, what have you done so far with your town? What are some of the events that you've done?
So far, it's been a year.
I know it's been a lot, but what's the state of your town, I guess?
The state of my town is probably best described as disrepair. Flooded with flowers, of course. Flowers spread like weeds in this game.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Weeds
It's really
don't,
annoying.
Weeds don't even spread like weeds anymore.
Oh, and
Yeah.
weeds are easier to pick up than flowers.
Yeah, and
Yep.
it's funny, if you play every day, the flower spreading is worse. If you stop playing, everything is preserved. So the best thing to
Yes.
do to maintain your town is to never play with it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I have a very nasty flower problem in my town right
Yeah.
now.
So at some point, I've been thinking of like maybe starting a Twitch channel and streaming, fixing my Animal Crossing town or something. I'm not sure if I'll actually follow through with that, but at some point I'm going to fix it, because right now there are just so many flowers everywhere. I've tried to keep, for my own enjoyment and interest, like a consistent history. Like, the shop hasn't moved and the town has changed around it,
Right.
I don't think the Able Sisters have moved either. You gotta put them in the southern part by the beach. You just have to. If you're a longtime Animal Crossing fan and your Able Sisters isn't either right next to Nook's Cranny or at the very bottom of the map, what's wrong with you?
Mine's right next to Nook's.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
Wild World way.
Yeah, I kind of think of it as a little shopping district.
Yeah.
With
Well,
like two
Wild
buildings.
World, it was like that. Wild World, they were right next to each other on one like lot.
Yeah.
And then in GameCube, they were always in the southernmost row. I prefer GameCube. Spoilers, that's my
My
favorite.
actually GameCube, my Nook was in the top left.
Yeah, Nook is always in the top row,
Yeah,
and
mine
so
was
is
the
the
top
post
right nook.
office.
Yeah.
And then Able Sisters are always in the
Yeah.
bottom row.
I yeah, that's kind of interesting. Like the game gives you new ways to move these buildings and stuff, and then we're kind of like, man, it's kind of like tradition. We can't really do that.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I'm not anti customization, but I kind of like that element of like you live here. This is a place. You can't change this place. It's not
Yeah,
yours.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're kind of coming into this island, and you're like, well,
You're a visitor,
you
not
know,
the owner. You know.
You know,
yeah,
I was just thinking that if I wanted to be truer to the spirit of um, the GameCube game, that the Able Sisters should be at the top near the shore because you enter from the bottom now. So, and
Twist.
Nooks should be right next to. In my case, my plaza is right next to the airport. Like it's right in front of it. So if I did
yeah.
that and then had Nooks next to it, and then Able Sisters in the top, like northernmost beach, that would be the most authentic, maybe, to GameCube. I miss trains. I love trains.
I love trains. Yeah.
I,
I do miss a lot of the characters that haven't shown up yet.
oh yeah,
Petey
Brewster.
or Pete, whatever his name is.
Everyone's gonna hate me for this one, but I love Booker and Copper. Like, I just find them
Yes,
really
They're
funny,
yeah,
great. They're so cute.
yeah.
and they're cute. Yeah,
I mean, that aged well, launching in March of 2020 and not having
yeah,
the cops. That
yeah.
aged incredibly well. They couldn't have known, but well, they could have known, but that's another topic for a much more
Yeah.
serious podcast.
God, yeah. Let's not.
Moving on.
In terms of what I've done with this game, I've pretty much done every event, every little thing that they've added over the year. I've done, and it's definitely it's the game that has the largest amount of playtime on my Switch. It kind of kick-started me back into playing games more consistently, and so like for me, like I think it's like I think I looked at it yesterday. It's like, oh, you have like 340 hours in Animal Crossing, which
Wow.
is very low for a lot of people who play this game, but for me is very very high. But something I've enjoyed doing is making different sections of the town. So like most people do the thing with like, oh, there's a neighborhood or whatever, and then you have the part with the shops or whatever. But I like doing things like, I'm working on something right now where it's like a cliff side, and it's the coin item that they added in the Mario items is just very satisfying because it's not like the item was in the previous games where you click on it or whatever and it makes the coin noise. This time, and you run through it. It's not like a fully solid object. So it's fun to run through lines of coins, and then they regenerate. So I'm kind of trying to put something together like that you kind of lets you run through, large numbers of coin lines, or whatever. Um, you know, stuff like that. I like making signs for different parts of the town with like naming different parts of the town. Um, that's where I find like when I sit down and take a break from, doing all the event stuff and trying to get all the items or whatever, that's where my focus ends up going. And it's been a lot. There's so much that's happened this year. It's like, oh, fishing tourney, oh, bug tourney is also going on. Oh, look, it's Christmas. Hey, time to roll up snowmen to get those DIYs and that stuff. And Gulliver's here and do that, and he'll give you a gift like he normally does. And oh, look, Celeste has a DIY for me. I need to get star shards or meteorite shards or whatever to make all of that stuff. And there's that kind of obsession there for me too. um where I'll be like, I need to play at this time on this day so that I don't miss out on X, Y, or Z. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like a mix of like intrinsic stuff that I just want to do, and then a mix of stuff that it's like, in line with previous games. It's like this is time based, if you don't catch this fish, it's going to go away at the end of this month, or you know, if you don't go to Nook's store before 10 o'clock, then you're going to miss out on the seasonal item that's there. So it's kind of an interesting balance, I think. Um, so yeah, I guess a good place to go from here is what do you guys think of the game so far up to this point? Um, we can start with Barry on this one.
Oh, well, it's Animal Crossing, so it's very cute, and it looks very good. The the graphics are incredible. I think they're among the best on Switch. Um, it's I mean, I think it's generally accepted that Monolith Soft's support team did a lot of asset development for the furniture. They did a great job because all the furniture is like really, really well done, and it fits well. It all fits together well. So yeah, yeah, it
Yeah,
it looks good. That's like the number one thing with New Horizons is that it looks incredible.
yeah, I definitely agree on that. And what you were saying about furniture too, they've definitely made a lot more interactive
Mm-hmm.
furniture than previous games. You've always been able to interact with furniture, but I've noticed they've added more interactions this time around, and I appreciate that. How about you, Muffin?
Um, yeah, so I think I've played this the least of everyone here, but I still had a good 80 plus hours, and that's still my top played Switch game so far, which seems like a small time for Animal Crossing, but for me, that's a lot of time to put into one video game. And I definitely enjoyed most of my time in it. I definitely got to a point where I just wasn't checking in as much and then stopped, like, fell off. But it had great customization. The social stuff was rough, but I still loved playing online with my friends. And it was just a great game at released at just the right time.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is, or was, I should say. I actually haven't played online too much. I did in the beginning,
Yeah, in the
um,
beginning mostly.
but I like um, I'm always like, oh, I can't play online again until I get my island right, and my island's never right. I mean, I've loved it. It's definitely been the one that I've. It's been one of the Animal Crossing games I've played the most. I play a lot of them, and I play them all pretty, for quite a while. But I want to say this one I've played like the only other Animal Crossing game that I think I may have played more um, is the GameCube one, and even then, I think my playtime with New Horizons kind of eclipse it. It's like those two and New Leaf are the ones that I've played the most. Um, so I really dig it. There's some weird stuff in there that I would tweak or change. Most of the quality of life stuff, um, like having to craft fish bait one by one by one by one,
Mm,
or little things like that.
yeah.
But I can't complain. There's just so much going on, and it's the gift that kind of just keeps on, giving.
Oh well,
Um,
I also just want to add how amazing the museum is in this one. It's
Mm,
beautiful.
yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah. They kind of renovated the museum in this one, and it's much more interesting um, than the previous games museums. I would say.
Yeah, it's
Um,
beautiful.
so I guess our last question here. Um, we're still getting updates for this. We just got the Mario update and the Sanrio update recently, and that also added some, other stuff gameplay wise, mostly in terms of like designs and that stuff. But we've seen sea diving added. We've seen, um, all kinds of stuff added over this past year. What do you guys want to see in the future? And I guess we'll start with Jared. I guess what's something you want to see in the future, and I mean, would it make you come back to the game as well?
I think the only things that would get me to come back to the game at this point would be gameplay related things. I definitely came back for the diving update, so I would come back for something. It doesn't even have to be that big, but another gameplay addition. Um, Also gyroids, of course. Gyroids would get me to come back.
Yep.
I don't think gyroids are gonna come back. And I think it's specifically because of having furniture outside. That's too many sound sources. That is too many sound sources to have.
Yeah,
Performance
yeah.
would tank immediately.
Oh,
Yeah, you can already kind of position music outside from like boom boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
that's a sad way to think of it, but yeah, it makes sense.
For a while at the start, they changed this, they patched it. But originally, if you had multiple stereos outside, they all had to play the same song.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
changed it. There's either some cap to it, like you can have up to 3 different songs. But I don't know.
Maybe gyroids could be indoor only.
There is no precedent for that, though. That's the only thing that
Well,
concerns
wall
me.
furniture is.
Yeah, but that's, I guess so.
I know it's different, but you can't place any sort of wall things outside.
But that's because there aren't any walls.
I know,
right?
but so like they have this system in there to prevent you from putting something. They could just classify it as a different thing.
Yeah, I just mean on like the client side, like for
Yeah.
players, how do you say like this furniture can only go on the floor inside?
Ooh, this is a sound item or something.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
weird.
Gyroids hate dirt, even though they're
Yeah,
buried in
they
it.
sink. If you put them outside, they just sink into the ground and you lose them forever.
I mean, one way you could do it is like, oh, dude, New Horizons gyroids. Here we go. Okay.
Okay.
If you put them outside, they don't work, but if you put them inside, they do.
Yeah, maybe outside they're just like they're
They
just
hang out.
statues,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
inside
they're-
they move.
They're miserable when exposed to the elements.
They frown.
They need central air.
Yeah. There's ways to make it work, and it's so sad they're not there because that's such a big personality thing. As well as Mr. Rossetti. I miss Mr. Rossetti.
Yeah,
I know
I
we
miss
talked
him
about the
too.
characters and Pete.
Rossetti should be a time travel cop. That has been my stance from the beginning. Compare your gameplay to real time, and if there's discrepancies like you've time traveled, he shows up and he says, "Hey, you're messing with dangerous things."
You're messing with
Now
space time and
scram.
you need to stop.
Yeah.
What would you like added, Barry?
Well, there's no precedent for much of anything new being added with a patch.
Well,
The only
diving
thing we
was the
have
biggest one.
that's not new.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's not new. And it was
Yeah.
probably just cut from the base game. But...
Yeah, the only thing that's been new was the pumpkins.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
there was-
planting crops. That was cool.
Yeah, so maybe we'll see more of those crops because there was data mining for that. I don't know. I do not know what I mean, what I want to see, I guess, is more old stuff because that's realistic. Like they could totally add Brewster back in.
Yeah, I was just about to
Not
say
sure
the
why they
roaster.
haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The roost is the number
Roost.
one thing that I expect to
just
happen.
Put it in the museum somewhere, or as like an upstairs of
Mm-hmm.
one of the stores.
Yeah, it's
Like
it's like the
Maples, make it a sound
last
store.
thing. I think it's the last thing they're gonna
Maples
do.
Sisters.
That's like a big update
Mhm.
before they do like a paid pass. I guess we already have some paid DLC in the Sanrio, but that's like not really paid DLC because it's not really
Yeah,
DLC.
it's kind of like a quote unquote
Scam.
physical DLC.
yeah.
Where you own a thing and you get stuff from it.
Yeah,
I mean, and it was
yeah.
pretty significant as well in terms of the number of
Yeah,
items and
yeah.
stuff. I know for me, what I'm mostly looking for right now is a lot of the stuff that was kind of data mined, particularly Brewster with the roost. I never particularly cared that much about it, but I enjoy him as like new gameplay content. Like if you can make coffee for people again and give him gyroids or whatever, then that's cool. And then also, yeah, more of the crops and that stuff that was in the data mine as well. gyroids. You know, we're all pretty much in agreement, I think, on the stuff that we really want to see. I would just like to add, uh, as we're going through year 2 now, I think it would be nice to see some like smaller holidays and events. The more simple ones where like you come in, Isabel's in the plaza or whatever, and you talk to her and she gives you something. Um, the game has been kind of doing that with seasonal items instead of that, and that's fine too. But I'm down for some smaller events and smaller stuff that's not like tied to a particular holiday or anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll change this, but I was thinking this the other day because one of my biggest problems with New Horizons is the news announcements when you first play in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yep,
yes,
they're so annoying.
Yeah. So, because most of the time it just highlights how little happens in the game. It really like underscores it, boldface, italics. Nothing ever seems to happen in this game.
yeah. She's losing her sock every like 3 days.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, at least she calls her parents often. That's nice.
Yeah, but not her brother.
Yeah,
The
her
most
brother's
important
dead,
one.
dude. Her
Yeah.
brother's dead. All the characters that are in the game are dead.
Poor Tixby.
Anyway, they've been adding to the NSO app for the game.
Yes.
So what if the news was in that? You didn't have to hop on. If it was somehow like if your Switch was online, if it could sync to that, um, that isn't really feasible. Specifically because the way Animal Crossing works is you boot the game and it decides what's happening in it, or you reach 5 a.m. I think it might be 6 a.m. in New Horizons. In older games, it was 5 a.m. I think it's 5 a.m.
I think it's 5 a.m.
Yeah, it's 5 a.m. And then it processes the next day. If it pre-processed that, you could. But then what if it was like really old? Like what if you were playing? The only way to do that would be if something else was determining what was happening in your town, and then that got sent to your town, and that's a little too online, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It could still be a lot faster though.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
could work. I guess if Animal Crossing could work in the background to set each day, but I don't think it could. I don't think there's any reasonable way to expect that. So I guess my request would instead be that the news not happen because
Yeah,
it's really
I would-
bad.
The news not being there would get me to play more. The same way with like
Yeah.
Splatoon. I would play Splatoon
Yeah.
more if I didn't have to go through those announcements.
Yeah. Or at least on days where there's nothing, she's like, "Oh, got nothing for you today. Okay." And then it's like, a text box instead of like 7 text boxes about what she watched on TV last night.
Yep.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we get too long here, I did want to briefly mention, that the NSO app does have Nook Link in it, and I think it's super cool. You can check your catalog on there. You can use it as a keyboard when you're online. You can use it for the emotions as well. And now they added the Nook Points thing that you can do as well to get some extra items. I think it's cute. I like it as a little companion thing. Does anybody have any last thoughts on New Horizons or Animal Crossing in general now that we're at this, pretty major 20-year milestone?
20 years is crazy.
Yes.
That's
You're
my
only a
biggest
year
takeaway
older.
from that. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's interesting to think about. Yeah. I'm just about a year older
Yeah,
than Animal Crossing.
it's amazing. I've pretty much only played like each like big upgrade. Like I played the first one, I played New Leaf, and I played New Horizons. So I really never got burnt out of Animal Crossing, and I like it, and I'll continue to play them because they're great.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 20 really awesome years. More people are playing than ever, which is really cool. There's more possibilities with dream codes and pattern sharing and all that stuff online as well. So I'm just excited. I love Animal Crossing. I'm glad it's persevered and that it has this really recognizable line of characters that people really enjoy. It's just, it's very peaceful and comforting, especially with the hellscape that was last year.
It's such a non-standard, one-of-a-kind series, and I'm glad it's not like some niche thing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad that Animal Crossing has kind of gotten bigger and bigger. I'm excited, to see whatever comes next. So with that, we're going to wrap it up here. I just want to quickly remind you all, we love to hear your feedback on these episodes, so please let us know what you think. And in terms of Animal Crossing, we would love it if you shared your dream codes, the Animal Crossing town trailers and posters that you can do now. I believe that service is up through the end of 2020. We would love to feature them on the blog and stuff like that. So please, if you have any of that content and want people to see it or you want to share it, please let us know.
You mean
And
2021, right? Or is
uh,
it?
wait, what?
You said that the service was up until the end of 2020.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the service is up until the end of 2021. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you have until the end of the year to make a really cool hype sizzle reel for your island.
I didn't realize that tool was official. I thought it was a fan
Yeah.
thing at first.
Yeah, no, it's official. It's cool.
Then I heard the voiceover, and I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, my island's a mess, so I need to fix it for that.
Yeah.
So everyone fix up your islands. Post some cool trailers for us. We want to watch them. And yeah, until next time, this has been the Nintendo Pipeline.
That's good.
And scene.
Yeah.
Very nice.